Hello. Thank you for tuning in to another session of the How to Wait. How to wait on a husband. In this section, we're going to talk about the pressure of preparation. See, some of us wonder why we've been through the things we've been through, why things just always seem to have a little to it, but we have to understand that from these situations is when we learn. See, you can't understand something you've never been through. And as we read in Proverbs, the value of the woman was that of a precious jewel. So let's talk about precious jewels for a moment. For any of you that were unsure or didn't know where diamonds, rubies, emeralds, things of this nature come from, they come from pressure. It takes a combination of 725,000 or more pounds and 2,000 to 2,200 degrees of heat to form a diamond. So it has some pressure and some heat to get to its flawless state. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I promised that I would be transparent in this workshop. So I went through some pressure and I went through some heat. I got married for the first time at 17. I did not get married because the Most High sent this husband. I did not get married because I was so in love. To be very honest, anything that went wrong in that marriage was just a spinoff from my initial mistake of being in the marriage in the first place. Growing up, it was extremely traumatic. I left home at 15 and had to figure it out. By the time I was 17 and met this young man, I was extremely tired of hustling, trying to figure out how I was going to maintain and go to school. So he meets me and thinks whatever he thinks, and we began to date, and his mother had no daughters, so this was her opportunity to have a daughter. And in real life, none of that actually even mattered to me. All I was thinking was, okay, downtime. I don't have to worry about bills. I don't have to worry about all the things that happen when you're on your own. Time prevailed. He asked me to marry him. He provided. His family had money. There was nothing that I needed financially. I had a place to live, had a vehicle, had a business to work in, had all the things I needed to not have to do what I used to do or go to places I used to go. But I was dead wrong. Because in essence, this is using someone. This is a manipulation of someone. And how could I really expect someone to love me that I didn't love? Time went on, and I just went through the motions. I cooked, I cleaned, I did the things wives should do because it's like a textbook. You know that the wife cooks and cleans and cooks and cleans and washes the clothes, blah, 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 blah. Time began to go on. Altercations began. It didn't matter to me what I said out of my mouth because there was no filter. I didn't care if it hurt. None of that mattered. The altercations went from verbal to physical. And even though it's categorized as domestic violence, I wasn't a victim. More often than not, I was hitting first. Because I didn't understand, first off, other than cooking and cleaning and, of course, sex, what it was that women really brought to the table. Time went on. I filed for divorce. He wouldn't sign the papers. So I left. In anger, I could have said everything that went wrong was his fault. But it wasn't. And it wasn't that I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I had the opportunity to say no and do the right thing, and I did not. I could have waited, but I did not. I got married for survival and not love. That isn't the situation that the Most High will put you in. Those are situations that we put ourselves in. At that point in my life, I didn't realize that all the childhood trauma, all of everything I had been through was my pressure. The things going on in my life were the heat and the pressure that was perfecting the diamond that would eventually come forth. It takes time for the diamond to form. Brilliance and shine in our diamond ways are built by experience. So if you've not truly experienced love, you don't even know how to give love. You don't really even realize that you just grabbed hold of something for convenience. Or because it looked good to you. Or because it would bring an image. And so in the first marriage, I still thought that it was okay for men and women to fight. We fought as little boys and girls. It just seemed like part of the process. And even though this marriage did not look like anything I had seen in my grandparents, it didn't bother me because I didn't care if he came home or not, or what was going on with him. That was, it was not ordained. It was a decision that I made outside of the will of the Father. And no, he wasn't perfect. Yes, he did some things, but I would not have experienced any of them had I not been there. So at that point, I had to look at myself years later and say, look, You gotta apologize. You have to be woman enough to admit your faults. You have to admit that you were in it for all the wrong reasons, and go ahead and let that tie be broken so that you both of you could let that go and have peace. So I want you to understand that if you're sitting there saying, well, what is wrong with me? Why don't I have a husband? Why do all my relationships go bad? Why does every time I think this is the man for me, he really isn't? Because when you pick them, they don't always have the things that you need. Sometimes they just have the things that you want. So in life, we have to be accountable for the decisions that we make. Because not only are we under pressure going through a transformation as we grow, so are they. They're going through their own transitions. When the husband that the father sends finds you, you will find very strangely that he knows more about you than you would even expect. He will be designed to love you through the things that you think other people can't understand. And sometimes we're not given husbands immediately because we're not ready to be a wife. So some of us have gone through abuse, molestation, racism, different things that have affected us. Maybe we were the middle child and have a little middle child syndrome. Maybe we were the oldest and raised all our siblings and just need a break. There's different things going on in our lives that need to be settled down before someone else comes into it. And we feel very pressured to get married because the first thing we always hear is, you shouldn't be having sex until you're married. And I 100% agree with that. But if you've been molested or raped or anything that has happened to you to start that cycle of triggering, your body is saying things to you that, whether your mind agrees with it or not, there is a feeling that you are looking for, a feeling that you need. So a lot of times we'll run to the altar with the first person that seems to be halfway compatible, just so that we can keep the commandment of not having sex without being married. We may have satisfied that, but that doesn't mean this is going to be a good marriage. If it is not the appropriate mate for you, all that's going to eventually happen is the feeling is going to wear out. And the true colors are going to show. Over time, we have watched the transition of the man. And a lot of people would say the black man, but I'm going to say the man in general, because no matter what color they are, you're seeing a trend in the change of the cycle of the man. We're so desperate to not be alone. Till we meet men, we move them into the house, we let them drive our car, we are just paying the bills while they play the PlayStation. And then we expect them to one day wake up and provide and protect. Let's be very honest with ourselves about this situation. How you start out is how it's going to go. If you didn't wait for him to prepare a home, get a job, get a vehicle, and come get you, then you can't expect for him to pick up the weight and meet the expectation of taking care of your house, your bills. And you may get one that has no problem coming in paying the bills until something happens and he feels like he doesn't have to. And then he'll just sit down because you'll figure it out. But if you had allowed him to just date from a distance and get his stuff together, so he had a house, apartment, a tent, a vehicle, a job, or a business, then he would feel more apt to take care of that because it's his name, it's his credit, it's his responsibility. And he's going to take care of what is his. Through the things that we've seen, we have gotten so independent that instead of using that in a way to uplift and partner with our man, we use our independence as a tool against him, which adds an extra pressure to him. Because, yeah, we're under pressure, so is he. And then we have to really categorize ourselves. Are we a precious jewel or are we a pipe? Because precious jewels are going to shine when the pressure is over. But that pipe is going to bust. So you ask yourself, or you're looking at the screen saying, well, I don't care about his pressure. And I'm not saying that you should. But that may be why you're not a wife. Because at some point you have to understand, once you become a wife, his pressure is now your pressure. And your pressure is now his. And you've become one and brought all your pressures together. So somebody's going to need to know how to balance so you guys could help each other through the trials, the tribulations, and the pain. We have to learn how to make it make sense. And so for today's lesson, I want you to, of course, get your tablet, pull your pen out again, and write down your pressure points. And if you have a fiance, a boyfriend, a man that you're dating, write down what you think his pressure points are. And ask yourself, are they pressure points that you want to carry to? Can you help take the weight? Can you help him in the healing process? Or are you just going to turn up your nose and walk away? Are you too big for that? Or do you already make more money than him, so you don't have time to go through the issues that he's going through? In the next lesson, we're going to talk a little more in detail. It's going to be a little more transparent and maybe even a little triggering. But in the next lesson, we're going to look at some of the things that men go through that they don't talk about, that aren't as obvious. And we're going to look at them because if we're mothers with sons, we need to address these issues. We need to talk about these things with our sons. Because in real life, men hurt too. And a hurt man is going to hurt you every time. So thank you for tuning in. We'll talk a little bit more in the next lesson. And you guys have an amazing